the vast majority of BCBAs that I work with do end up hiring, and a lot of them will come to me and say, I am not going to be a big company. It's just going to be me and a couple of techs. And within 4 or 5 months, they're getting ready to hire, 1, 2 BCBAs and multiple techs. Most people that I know of do not want to work for a startup.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to ABA Business Leaders Podcast, brought to you by 3 Pi Squared. I'm April.
I'm Steven.
Welcome to our Back to Basics 2025 series. This is where we go back to the foundations of running an ABA business. Whether you're dreaming about starting a company, already running one, or preparing for what's next, we will meet you where you are. And here's the truth. The earlier you start working on these foundations, the better your chances of success and the fewer problems you'll face. And the smoother your growth will be. Just like in clinical practice, early intervention makes all of the difference. Each episode will focus on one core business topic and talk about what it means if you're starting, scaling, or transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where you are in your journey, you'll walk away with clarity and next steps. At least that's our hope. So today's topic, policies and procedures. Yeah, don't you all jump for joy at the same time. Maybe this is a great podcast to listen to when you're on a walk, when maybe you've just finished a cup of coffee, or, you're maybe not the best to listen to when you're really tired. Though I will say we'll try our best not to be too dry and boring. But isn't that the truth that people think policies and procedures and they think Snorefest, right?
I think Snorefest.
Yeah. So we every time we talk about this often, but every time we talk about it, we try to bring a new way of looking at it, maybe adding in some new pieces to it. So that's what we're going to talk about today, policies and procedures. So it might sound like paperwork, but the policies are really an important backbone of your business. They create clarity for employees, for families, and for you, the owner. Without them, every decision has to be made in the moment, which creates chaos and inconsistency. We talk a lot about how much brain, I can't even think of the word, load, brain, mental load. Thank you. Mental load. My brain just showed up there for a second. But yeah, so mental load. So if you already have routines in place, if you already have policies and procedures in place, look, you're already yawning.
Yeah.
You're already yawning. Then it does help to lessen that chaos and inconsistency because you already have it written, right? Of course, you have to get it written, but that's something we can help you with. So it doesn't matter whether you're just starting out, you're growing, you've been in business for 10 years, or you're preparing for a transition. Looking at policies and procedures is super important every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Today's episode, we have a little highlight first to talk about parallel regulations, which really is just it's important for the new business owner, but it's also super important for every stage of business because some people, you may not be aware of this. So I just kind of decided, because I'm a categories person and I like to keep things specific. So I didn't feel like this fit into any specific category with the starter, the grower, or the closer. So I felt like it deserves its own little spotlight at the very beginning. Oh, look at you. You're just laid back. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see how Steven's just laid back. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for his turn to talk. But seriously, So we're going to talk about parallel regulations. Really, Steven's going to do a lot of talking about parallel regulations first because it deserves its own little segment, and then we'll go into each one. So when we talk about parallel regulations, we're looking at those policies and procedures that aren't just like a good to have. These are nice to have. Would it be great to have? These are have to haves, right? So policies and procedures, they don't just keep your business organized, they keep you compliant. So that's the piece we're going to talk about is the compliance, right?
Do you want me to just, I just want to.
You just want to jump in and talk about it. So go for it.
So this isn't just parallel regulations either. So as soon as you start submitting claims through like a clearinghouse, you are a healthcare company, right? You are a covered entity as far as HIPAA is concerned. And so that means that you need to follow HIPAA. That means you need to do a risk assessment, a risk analysis, that you need to assign a privacy officer and a security officer, that you'll need to do trainings for your staff. So that's just the way it is. Then there's also state privacy law. So a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to do private pay and I'll give some super bills to my clients so I don't have to submit any claims and therefore I don't need to follow HIPAA. Maybe. I don't know if I can answer that without doing more like a deeper dive, but you're probably going to still have to follow state privacy law. There's also your board, the BACB may require you to follow, because I think one of their things is following all regulations. I think keeping your client information safe is something else that they require. So you may still need to follow HIPAA. You may still need to follow state privacy laws. And if you're a lot of funders, even if you're doing super bills, require that you have a single case agreement in place, and then they're going to basically make you sign, you're going to follow all of our rules, which would be following HIPAA. And then when you're going in network with a funder, and where we see this most often is like on OSHA requirements. OSHA typically, that's a federal requirement, and I believe it's when you have over 25 employees that you need to follow those laws. But what a lot of funders, and again, this is where you check your contract, talk to your network rep, see if this is the case. They may require that you have a bloodborne pathogen law, a rule, like training and policy in within your company. They may require that you have some kind of system in place for cleaning things appropriately. And then now we need to have MSDS as some material safety data sheets on all of the chemicals that we work with. So these are just things that are really important that you go into this not making an assumption. So the last thing I'll say on this, and we can kind of talk about it a little bit if you want, April, but I hear this often is, well, the last company I worked with did ABC, right? And ABC typically is, they didn't have any rules, right? They didn't have any policy. They didn't pay their staff or require training. They may have had contractor positions for techs, right? Like, so just because your previous company wasn't following the rules doesn't mean that it's okay for you to not follow those rules. So I wouldn't make the assumption that my last company was doing everything correctly. Maybe they were. I don't know. But neither do you. So it's really important that you make sure that you're following everything that you are supposed to follow. So we do help with this. We have a laundry list of policies and procedures that we have. So they'll help you get through in-network audits. They'll help you get through accreditation, and they have the basic policies and procedures that every ABA company that you need to do your day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of the pieces in a quick little package.
Cool.
But so I guess to highlight what you're saying, it doesn't matter if you are just BCBA solo clinician in business with yourself, only with yourself, and you haven't hired anyone else, and this is how you plan to do it for at least a while. Or if you're in practice, you've hired several BCBAs under you and you have a team of techs, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have 1 employee or 20 employees. Like, most of these things are still going to apply for you. And even if they don't, they're really good practices to go ahead and have in place from the beginning, because they help to put the groundwork and they help to communicate what's expected, and how things should run. Yeah. And they're living documents. So we'll also talk about how to check back in with them and update them and make sure you keep them current, but it doesn't matter if it's just you by yourself. You still most likely need most of these.
Yeah, the vast majority of these policies are still required. Yes, and if you do decide to hire a person, which again, the vast majority of BCBAs that I work with do end up hiring more people, so they will end up hiring BCBAs, and a lot of them will come to me and say, I am not going to be a big company, it's just going to be me and a couple of techs, and within 4 or 5 months they're getting ready to hire 1, 2 BCBAs and multiple techs. So it's just something to be aware of, and I like most people that I know of do not want to work for a startup, and
this is a big part of it.
Yeah, and a lot of our BT, like when we did our I Hate My Job series, this was one of those things that like they could spot somebody that has it together and doesn't have it together, and it really does start with that hiring process. And I can promise you they're all talking to each other, right? Like go on Reddit, just spend 20 minutes on Reddit. You'll see like this, they're all asking, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? What do you do in this situation? So, again, don't be the company that, like, if you left your previous employer because you felt like they were making you do things that you shouldn't, or they didn't have any systems in place, then don't be that company, and again, you're required. The vast majority of these things are either a state, a Fed, or an insurance regulation that you need to follow.
Well, so 4 of those starters, so we've already talked about when you're just starting out, doesn't matter if it's just you need to put these in place, right? So key policies to have right away, an employee handbook, even if it's just you. Because like we're saying, a lot of funders these are things that are going to be expected for some funders.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Optum Kaiser has an audit, Magellan in some states has an audit, some Medicaids have audits, and they're still even if you're the only employee, They want to see your resume. They want to see a background check done on you. They want to see that you have specific trainings, as I've already mentioned, like bloodborne pathogen, mandated reporter, HIPAA compliance, right? And so they're going to want to know, not only do they want to see the evidence of that, but they want to see the evidence. They want to see the policy that is in your handbook that has all of the required trainings that your staff needs. And then they want to see the evidence that your staff have those trainings, CPR, first aid, right? And then the background checks and what kind of background check, right? And this again depends on your state or your insurance, the funders that you're working with.
Right. So your employee handbook and also like the intake paperwork and that whole, I mean, that's part of the employee handbook is how you do the intake process, right? And then client policies, looking at intake, attendance, cancellation, communication, billing, just to name a few. So that even if you just have, if it's just you and you have like 2 clients, those clients have written documentation that shows them, spells out exactly what's expected of them, right?
Financial responsibility agreement is really important for clients, how much they're going to pay, what if insurance doesn't cover it. Well, these things need to be written down because you can't change these after the fact. And what if there's a bounce check? What if they don't pay on time, right? Like these things happen all the time. And so what are you going to do if those things happen?
Yeah. So even looking at safety basics, like mandated reporter, crisis intervention, some insurance, some funders are going to require that if you do use some form of restraint with a client, that you report that. There may be certain forms that you have to fill out, a certain time frame that you have to do it. So also, like, I think about putting like the handbooks and the policies and procedures into place, getting them in writing, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like that kind of, I look at that as almost like the finished product, like the actual product that comes from doing all of the research and putting the thought into place of, okay, I have to research what my state needs, what my what the federal government needs, what my liability insurance carrier needs, what my funders need. Whether you're even private pay, like how are you going to expect some of these things, right? How are you going to build them, like financial agreement, but then other parts too. Mm-hmm. So it really, even starting out, whether you buy our product or whether you start out with a brainstorm list, right? Where you're like, okay, I get that there's a whole other, all the things that have to happen, and I'll research that, or I'll reach out to April and Stephen about that. But even first, what's important to me, like looking back at your values, like what's important to me that I communicate to my staff, to the clients that I'm working with, to the clients' families. How do I want to show up? What experiences did I have in my work life prior to starting this place, like that I want to make sure get addressed. So I think it's really getting what's in your brain out onto paper.
Yeah. And then there are just simple things like you need permission for an assessment, right? Like you have to get that permission from the family to do the assessment. You need to make sure that you have a diagnosis, right, when you submit your authorization. So and a notice of privacy practices, right? So like, what do they? What are the family's rights? How do they access their record? I mean, there's a lot to this, and we're like doing high level glossing over this really quickly. So yeah, there's just a lot.
Exactly. And so I I do want to say something though about AI. Um, just be careful, okay? If you're using AI to write your policies and procedures and put your handbooks in place, you just have to be super careful if you're not already aware of my brain fails me again. Hallucinations. Yes. If you're not already aware of hallucinations with AI, like that it can make stuff up, that's something you have to watch for. It could say, oh, yes, per this law for this state, yes, you need this policy. Or even more dangerous, oh, yeah, no, for this law and for this state, you don't need that. Wait, right? Am I correct in that it can give you the wrong information?
Yeah, I think the issue, I mean, there's a lot of issues.
You can use it like as a tool to help write this stuff. But what I'm trying to say is like, it's not a good idea to that be your sole way of doing it, right?
So there's a lot of issues with AI, and number one is it's not going to tell you what you don't ask for. And I can guarantee you, if you say, I need a comprehensive list of all the policies and procedures I need for running an ABA company, it's going to miss a bunch of them. And then 6 months later, it's going to go, oh, yeah. When you say, hey, why didn't you give me this one? Oh, yeah, you're right. I should have given you that. Like, and as it writes them out, trust me, I've tried. It does not work the way that I feel comfortable even putting in to update and I have a list of I don't know, 1,000 policies, right? And we've been working on this for 8 years, perfecting our handbooks. And I have tried. It does not work to any. I have zero level of confidence that it's getting it right. It just makes too many mistakes. And then I have to go
dangerous
back
mistakes if you don't know what you don't know.
And it's just me when I have attempted this. It's just me arguing back and forth with this AI system until it finally gets it right. So yeah, I would urge you, and I get the idea of why it is a cost-effective way. It seems very confident that it knows what it's doing. It unfortunately is not there yet. And so I do not recommend, like, go get an attorney, right? Like, go get an attorney and talk to an attorney before using AI documents. So yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. You do you. We have built ours. These have passed accreditations, hundreds, probably 500 in-network audits. And they're used by over 1,000 ABA practices all over the country, right? And we do give free updates. And the reason why we give free updates is so that we, and I have coined it this, but it is I don't know of any other ABA business project that is larger than this in the country. But we take your feedback and we modify them based on that, right? So if there's something that you feel we need to add, we'll take that and add it in the next update. So you're getting, this huge collaboration between between ABA companies. So yeah, I would not. Again, you're going to be probably making $250,000, $400,000 a year, just a small ABA practice. I would not. I would not. I would not put my faith in AI for this part of it. I wouldn't put my faith in AI for much, right? Like that. That's just. It just
not
doesn't.
Just the AI that the average person has available to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, that we have. Right?
Yeah. So like there's just so much risk in this space, and I don't mean to scare anyone here. It's just there's a lot of moving parts, and I don't think that I would risk the future of your company on a free or $10 a month application that is going to provide the framework of your company with no oversight or accountability. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's my.
No, I mean, it's scary. And I know that even if you purchase our handbooks, and this honestly, I know it's like commercial, but it really, it's not intended to be. It's just, it is what it is. We have these handbooks. They're very helpful. We put a lot of work into them, but I don't really care if you buy our handbooks. Like, really don't. What I care about.
I mean, I do, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what I care about is that we're all contributing and I guess this is like the clinical side of it, right? That we're all contributing to quality ABA and treating our staff and our learners and their families to the best of our ability. And I feel like this is one way of doing it, right? Is to be able to provide.
Yeah. I mean,
clear communication guidelines and I get some of these policies and procedures are like, seriously, why do we need that? But then I guarantee, like, every time we feel like we've written all the policies and procedures that we need, one of you guys reaches out to us and says, hey, guess what? We need a policy for this. Yeah. And we're like, oh, okay, tell us more. Yes. And then we write it and then we put it in, we add it in to the next
and this is 1,000 ABA practices and we're still learning things all the time. So
and I get to it. So my whole point of saying this was like, even if you buy our handbooks and you sit down, you get to work on them and you're putting them in place and you're making them in your own. And you're saying, okay, here's a list of things that are important for me to add into this. Now I need to figure out how to add it in. That's a big job too. And that can be a lot, right? Sometimes even having more information to start with can be more overwhelming. Yeah. So we have started doing like kind of a white glove service for select, we can only do so many of those because they're hard. Because like this is hard. Like I just want to normalize too. Like it's not an easy thing. Like, and so like with like AI and stuff, we want to just be make me a handbook, blah, blah. We have a handbook. Okay, let's distribute the handbook, right? I know I'm being a little silly, but seriously, we really want things to do quick. We want to just get them done. We want to check the box off of the list. But this is not just a list to check off. These are really a very important foundation of your business.
The foundation of your company.
It's going to take time. Like some people, it takes them like a year or so to write these things. Yes. And not that they have to be perfect their first edition. Sometimes you do have to just get what you can get. And then as long as you're continuing, and this is kind of moving into segment 2 for growers, continuing to add to them, continuing to just change to them, checking in, having your own like check-ins with these things and say, okay, do these still represent where we are today? What do we need to add? What do we need to change? Right. Yeah, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. And I don't think that we talk about that enough, that these things are a lot of work. Even our white glove ones, right? That we're the ones that made these handbooks and we help update them and we teach people how to use them and we collaborate with ABA companies. And then we sit down with a company to learn about their company to tailor this handbook and to do the white glove. And it's still a lot of work for us. Right? Am I fair to say that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a lot. It's a lot more than I would like to do.
But it's not like a quick and simple.
I don't know if it's a lot.
Okay, fine. I think it's a lot.
Well, that's fine. You didn't do them.
I know. I haven't really been part of the white glove thing, so I can't really say, but that's probably why, because it is a lot, right? I just want to normalize that because sometimes we think that these things should just be easy and we should just be able to do them and just get them out there. And that's not always the case.
No, I mean, again, if your intention is I need to get this done and I just need this over with, I would, if you were to tell me, okay, I've got these 2 really great ideas, Stephen, which one do you think I should do? Go on AI and download, and make my policies and procedures, or I saw this ABA company's website and they have their policies and procedures on there, and I can just download them and steal them. I would say steal the other person's, because maybe they've done a better job than the AI system. So I don't know. I just that, like, like I said, I have tried to generate policies and procedures on AI, and it just doesn't seem to get. I don't know if it's just the nuances of ABA and the specialty and the combination of insurance and state law.
Well, and knowing how to write the prompt, right?
Yeah.
Taking all those different pieces into consideration, and like your payer and your, like, all of those pieces.
Yeah, I mean, even really good attorneys miss split shift law, right? And so, yeah, I would not put the entire risk of your company on a $15 or $10 app or even better, the free version of an AI system. I wouldn't do that.
So AI, please don't come for us. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean,
it can be a very good tool. It can be a very good assistant.
You know, like if you're like, okay, here's the policy I am writing, or even, hey, here's the policy from Steven. Here's how I want it to, and let's merge this, or this is something I want to add to it, and please give me the language or whatever. Like, right? That's where it could be a very helpful tool, but not, hey, come up and write with
at least at this point, like HR and attorneys are still needed. Maybe in 6 months, I will come back on here.
Come back and let us know if you disagree.
Yeah, maybe in 6 months, I won't even be here. It will be an AI generated video of me speaking on this podcast. I don't know, but right now, in this moment, I would not be doing that. So that's just kind of where I'm at on this. So, yeah.
All right. So we kind of eased into segment 2 as we were ranting about the safety and precaution of using AI, writing your handbooks. But so as you grow, policies and procedures really continue to be about consistency and accountability, right? Because also, if you have policies and procedures in place, then you have amazing, like, you could have like the best policies and procedures, and you have them in this most beautiful, you've bound them into these books, right? Or you have them in this amazing system within your computers, right? It doesn't matter if you're not actually using them and following them and, holding yourself and your staff and your clients accountable.
Can I just pause you for 1 second? In segment 1, I feel like I should have said this.
Okay, let's rewind.
So in segment 1, like, before you even get started on what policies I need, go to get on the Jade Health BHCOE mailing list and download their accreditation. Go to ACQ, Autism Commission on Quality, and download their accreditation. Go to Google this, Provider Express ABA audit, in-network audit. You'll get a link to their checklist of what they require. You can also do the same thing for Kaiser Permanente, whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast. Download their audit requirements. Another great one would be, again, the TOM. So the TRICARE Operations Manual would be a great download. And then the last one is the essential
list too.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, like, these are the places where you're going.
These are reputable sources.
Yes. I would also Google a HIPAA risk analysis, risk assessment, and download one. And then the last thing that I would do is I forgot what it was. There is Pennsylvania State has they have a whole ABA regulation, just the regulations just for ABA and how to become an ABA provider. So that actually is a great thing to look up and just see what this state requires of you. Because more than likely, what's going to happen is all of these things are going to be required of you shortly, right? And so what I'm telling people now as they build out their ABA company is build it out accreditation ready, because this is coming. I can like I don't know if I'm certain of much, but
this is what much, yes, but I do know one thing.
This is just, it's coming, and I don't know when it is. I don't know if this is 8 months from now we're going to see one of these major payers come out and say, hey, by the way, but it is going to be happening.
Well, it's already in Connecticut, right?
No, it's Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, sorry.
So, this is coming. It is going to happen. And you can be upset about that. But there are going to be, as I say, in almost every free consult I do, there are going to be winners and losers when this happens. And the losers are going to be the ones that did not take my amazing advice and prepare for this, right?
I'm going to spew my water.
But seriously, like if you are caught flat-footed and you are not ready for accreditation, and a major funder says, hey, by the way, accreditation, we're doing it now. These accreditation boards are not set up at this moment to accredit 1,000 ABA practices at the same time. They're just not. So if a major funder comes in and just says, okay, we're doing this now, this is going to, it already takes a while. I think it's a 3 to 6 month process anyway. So we're talking maybe double that amount of time. So if you are one of these people that just didn't get ready, didn't prepare, and are rushing to get accredited, and then you find out, well, I didn't make it, so I can no longer accept this funder, somebody's going to get those cases. And more than likely, you're going to lose staff as well, because you won't be able to afford to keep them because you don't have as many clients. And so somebody's going to get those staff that you have trained for the last 5 years, right? So like, it's just really important. I would urge you to, again, go to ACQ and go to Jade Health, download their requirements, pick one of them. I don't care which one you pick. Do go on in any of these Facebook groups for ABA companies, ask which one do you guys like better. Get some feedback. I will tell you, everybody's got an opinion. I don't know if I would make my final decision based on the Facebook mob, but you may be able to get some good information and then just pick one and start, right? I would say over the next 12 months, make a goal that you will get all of the policies that you need to get accredited complete. I really, please, it's just really important. For us, especially for you smaller providers, the big companies are not going to have a problem with this. They will get through it. It's going to be the smaller ABA companies that I'm really concerned about.
Some of the things that growers can do, we talked about some of it already, but just as you're reviewing and updating, if you get our updates, make sure you take a look at them. Mm-hmm. Put them into play. As you're doing your day-to-day regular operations, if you recognize that there are gaps, right? You have common gaps. It can be like things like, supervision policies, social media use, staff training, paid time off. Mm-hmm. If anything, you realize, I don't have a policy for this, right? Then write it on a list, right? You don't necessarily have to stop everything and write a policy right then, but just keep track of it. And then if you do batch work, which I highly recommend, it can be really helpful, or block scheduling for yourself. Maybe once a month, having a set time that you use to review policies and procedures or write policies and procedures. So if you're as on the day-to-day as you're going, you just keep a list or a spreadsheet or whatever of all of the things that you need to add, right? And then say, like, I don't know, the third Thursday morning of every month from 9 to 12, that's when you have set for yourself to sit down and write some of those policies or procedures or do research on them. Because what I'm trying to say is that it is super, super important. But I also get that there's so many things on our plates as owners that these are the things that tend to get pushed to the side because they're not fire, right? But the more of this that we can stay up to date with, I would like to say the less fires that we have because we're communicating better and we're holding people accountable for our policies. And so they know what to expect and they know that they're going to be asked to follow what's expected. But we get busy and it gets hard and we forget about these things a lot of times. So putting it in your calendar as, okay, this is going to be a time where I work on that internal audit for these policies and procedures, or this is the time I can put updates into place, or I can fill in the gaps of what might be missing. And then the other piece that we need to remember is that to train staff on these policies and procedures. Don't just throw a handbook at them on intake when they're coming to your company and like expect them to read it on their own time and not even pay them for that, like include it in your training, whether you do walkthroughs. I don't expect you to sit there and read it to them, but then have some kind of comprehension check on your most important policies, right? That at least not that they need to memorize the handbook, but that they know how to use it and go back and where to find it. And even in day-to-day practices, if you have certain questions that pop up time and time again, instead of spending that time composing that email, sending that text, having that conversation, you can just on your own, know, oh yeah, that's a great question. You can find that in the employee handbook on page 3, section 2. But please look at that. And then if you still have questions or need more clarification, reach back out, right? Because then that also helps teach your staff how to use that as a tool. And that kind of cuts down on some of that work that you have to do as an owner. Okay. Do you have something to say, Sam?
For growers, I like to use new employees to break my policies.
That's a great idea.
So, and if they break them, they bought them. So they have to fix them. So, and so this is this happens all the time, right? You make a bunch of assumptions when you write a step-by-step instruction, and not everybody has the same assumptions that you have. And so bringing in new employees to follow these policies and then, like I said, break them, right? why was this not reproducible based on what we have written down here? Again, this is something AI is not going to be able to help with. So having your new staff have fresh eyes so that you can see the gaps that may seem obvious to you, but were not obvious to everyone. So this is a great opportunity. And it also brings in ownership and buy-in because they are a part of this process and they see that from day one. So it's also a great opportunity for them to get to know staff that they may not necessarily get to know because they're helping fix these policies. And I can tell you, our 4 main handbooks it's around 750 pages. You're not going to be able to do this all yourself. You have too much on your list of to-dos. So let your new staff constantly update these. I think is a great. Now, you're not just going to let anybody throw it in and say, oh yeah, that's great, right? But allow them to do the legwork and put the policy together and then have an approval system with checks and balances and accountability in place, and maybe you have seasoned or lead RBTs or BTs that will then review it, or a BCBA that's your trainer that will then review it. But having those in place so that it's not all on you, because again, what happens very often, and this is not just ABA related, this is just every company that I've ever worked for, by Darla, right? Like, you build these shiny new policies and then they start getting dings on them. Oh, we don't do it that way anymore. We changed this. We use a different app. The software got updated and we do it this way now, right? And then these policies and procedures don't actually, they're unrecognizable because you don't do it that way. And so everybody knows this is just the way it is. Yeah. You don't follow that. Don't follow that. You follow this. I'll show you how to do it. That's not how you want this to become, because this is where you can no longer scale, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that, when I said to be able to do it, to make sure you put it in your calendar and keep track of it. Yeah. I mean, that great if you're to the point where you're not the only one, and you've gotten to a point where you do have even a small team to delegate to. And that can be some of your team members, job description within their job descriptions that they help update, write and update policies. I think whether you have an admin person, an HR person, BCBA, like a lead tech, those things that could be great. So we are running over on time, but I do want to go ahead and talk about closers, because there are some really important pieces that when you're preparing to sell or transition in your company, that the policies are part of your value. And I'm not talking about, okay, we've decided we're putting this up for sale next month, so now what do we do? These are things that you really need to have in place a year, 2 years leading up to that. So knowing your transition plan from the beginning, or at least having a good idea of, if your goal is at X point, we're going to sell, hoping to make X amount of money, then you can already have this within your business plan of when you have certain milestones in place to do this. But if you're at that point where you're like, okay, I think within the next year, we're going to be ready for whatever reason to transition or sell, these are definitely things you need to look at, because buyers want to see strong documented policies. Clean policies show that your company runs on systems, not just personalities. And then it helps to ensure continuity for staff and clients if that's the type of transition that you're having, right? But knowing things like network reps, having access to your contracts and understanding your contracts, really working on rate negotiation to get those right. You might think, why does it matter if I'm out of here in 2 years, if I get negotiate rates and try to get higher rates, because it's gonna make your company more valuable. If you have contracts with payers that maybe are closed and they're not accepting any more in network in your area, that could really bring in some potential buyers that could really increase the value. What else, Stephen?
I mean, you want this to run without you. If you're wanting to sell this, I just picture this in your mind. Okay, you have a company that is making $2 million in revenue, and the BCBA owner is working 90 hours a week, and you have another company that's making $2 million in revenue, and the BCBA shows up once a week to make sure that building isn't on fire. Which one are you more likely to buy? I know which one I'm going to buy, right? So because if I go to that one where this BCBA is working 90 hours a week to keep this thing afloat, that means I need 3 of this person to keep this thing afloat. And so that does not put you in a great position, right? I'm sorry, it doesn't. So we need, right, when I'm helping someone transition out, it's how do we get rid of all of the work? How do we delegate all of the work? Right. And if you want to come back in and do some, great. But how do we get it so that this thing runs itself? Because that's what it has to do to get the highest value. And there's really no point in not doing it, right? If you're going to be selling it sometime soon. So that's really the biggest thing. And so you can't do that by you coming in and changing the rule every 5 minutes because it's not written down, right? It's written down. We have a policy, we have a procedure, we have a step-by-step task analysis or work instruction, whatever you want to call it. And this is what we do. And this is why we do it, right? And just having those things in place is really important at this point. Yep.
Yeah. So policies and procedures aren't just paperwork.
No.
They're structure, compliance, and protection. They reduce chaos, protect relationships, and keep you in line with laws and funder rules. So,
and you'll just have less stress because there'll be less like fires to put out. Now, some people love to put out fires. I call that Mighty Mouse syndrome. And some people just love to save the day. But if you are not one of those people that loves to save the day and you just want less drama in your life, then policies and procedures, that's the way to get it.
Yeah. So wherever you are, whether you're just starting, you're scaling, or you're preparing for a transition, clear policies help you run a business that's sustainable, compliant, and aligned with your values. We didn't really hit much on that, but weaving your values and your company values into these things is like key, right? Yeah. So here's your reflection prompt for today. I did not give reflection prompts singularly to each level of a business leader, but this is one that I think will work for each one of you, whether you are building, growing, or closing. What's one step that I can take this week to strengthen the policies in my practice? And for those of you early starts or like starters, if you don't have policies yet, then maybe take that time to say, okay, what are 5 policies that are important to me? And then maybe what's one policy I'm going to research? Or even better, maybe a great first step, if you don't have any policies to look at strengthening and updating, would be go to those sites that Stephen, recommended. Yeah. And start gathering the information and then put it on your calendar to start going through that information and compiling a list of what you need. Reach out to us if you get overwhelmed, because we are definitely here to help you. All right. On that note, I want to remind you of our hotline. So if you have a question for us, if you have a question that you want us to talk about on the podcast, if you have a success story or something positive you want to share, anything, we'd love to hear from you. So 737-330-1448 and press 1 to send you to the podcast hotline. And if you don't want us to use your name, just don't say your name. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We're excited about this. So give us a call, leave a question, comment, story, any of it. We're here for you.
Have a wonderful week.
All right. Take care.
See ya.